And I know it's frustrating when you see so much potential in someone, but trust me, it's not your job to turn that potential into reality. That's on him. He's not stepping up, and it's because he's choosing not to. That's all the information you need. And at the end of the day, you want someone who is into you just as much as you're into them. All right, so let's talk about something that might sting a little, just a little, but it's important. Dating men as they are and not as you want them to be. And I know this can be a tough pill to swallow for some because, trust me, we've all been there. I've been there. You meet someone and you start seeing all this potential and you're imagining what things could be like if they just did this or that. Maybe you think, if he could just call me more, if he had made more time for me, if he could just put in a little more effort, then it would be perfect. But here's the truth. You've got to deal with men as they are right now, not as you wish them to be. Because at the end of the day, the version of him that you've created in your head, that's just a fantasy. And the longer you hold on to that fantasy, the more you're going to hurt yourself. So let's break this down. Men, for the most part, mature men, like to pursue. They enjoy the chase. It's wired into them, and it's something that makes them feel accomplished. So when they're into you, they will show it. They'll call, they'll make plans, they'll go out of their way to make sure they can be around you. You won't have to question it. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're doing the chasing, you're always the one reaching out, you're the one making the plans, you're trying to keep things going, you got to pause and really ask yourself, is this guy really into me? Because 9 times out of 10, if you're having to pursue him, the reality is he's just not that into you. And I know that's not what you want to hear, but ignoring the reality is only going to make things harder for you in the long run. Now, this doesn't mean that you're not amazing. Okay, it doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that this particular guy in this particular moment isn't feeling the way you want him to. And that's okay. He has that right. What's not okay is wasting your time trying to turn him into someone he's not. We've got to stop trying to mold men into what we want them to be. If he's not stepping up, if he's not showing you the attention you deserve, if he's not actively pursuing you, you need to take that as a sign. Because when a man wants you, when he's into you, you won't have to beg for his time and you won't have to wonder where you stand. You'll know because his actions will make it clear. And this is where we get tripped up sometimes. We get so focused on how we want things to be that we miss what's right in front of us. We miss the fact that this guy isn't showing up for us in a way we need him to. And instead of walking away, we hold on. And we're hoping that things will change. And we're hoping that he'll finally become the person we want him to be. But let me tell you, if you have to do all the chasing, if you have to do all the work to make the relationship happen, it's not worth it. You deserve someone who wants to be with you just as much as you want to be with them. You deserve someone who shows up, someone who puts in the effort without you having to ask. And if that's not happening, it's better to recognize that now than to keep pouring your energy into something that isn't giving back to you. So, how do we deal with men as they are? You accept what they're showing you. If he's being inconsistent, if he's not making an effort, you take that at face value. You don't make excuses for him. You don't try to change him, and you don't chase after him. You step back and you say, this is who this person is, and this isn't what I want. And then you let go. And I know that can be hard to hear and that's hard to take in. I know it's frustrating when you see so much potential in someone, but trust me, it's not your job to turn that potential into reality. That's on him. He's not stepping up, and it's because he's choosing not to. That's all the information you need. And at the end of the day, you want someone who is into you just as much as you're into them. You want someone who makes you feel wanted and appreciated without you having to fight for it. So stop wasting your energy trying to turn him into someone he's not. Deal with men as they are. And if who they are doesn't align with what you want, be brave enough to walk away and wait for the person who will meet you where you are. And while you're in your waiting, work on yourself and take up a new skill. Do something productive to you that serves as a good distraction away from this guy you're going crazy over. And here's the thing. Sometimes we get caught in a loop of trying to fix people or help them change. So maybe you've seen a glimpse of who this guy could be when he's at his best. So we think if I just love him enough, if I'm patient, if I stick it out, he'll finally turn into that person. But let me tell you, people only change when they want to. No amount of love, no amount of patience or effort on your part is going to make someone become who they aren't ready to be. And while you're sitting there waiting for him to change, you're putting your happiness on hold. That's why it's so important to accept men as they are in the present moment. Because if you're waiting for them to become that person you want, you're going to be waiting for a very long time, and you're losing precious time that you could be using to spend with someone who's already ready to love you the way you deserve to be loved. Also, let's talk about self-respect for a minute. When you keep accepting less than you deserve, you're sending a message to yourself and to the world that you're okay with settling. You're telling yourself that you're willing to put up with crumbs when you should be demanding the whole cake. And that kind of mindset chips away at your confidence over time. You start believing that maybe this is the best you can get, that maybe you don't deserve someone who's all in for you. But that's not true. You deserve someone who's going to show up, who's going to make the effort without having to drag it out of them. So when you accept men as they are and you don't try to mold them into what you want, you're actually showing yourself self-respect. You're saying, I know what I deserve, and I'm not going to settle for anything less. And when you operate from that place of confidence and self-worth, the right person will come along who doesn't need to be chased or changed. And lastly, I know this can be hard because we've been conditioned, especially as women, to believe that we need to be the fixers, the nurturers, the ones who holds everything together. But it's not your job to fix a man, especially not one who isn't putting in the effort to grow and evolve on his own. It's your job to set boundaries to protect your energy and to not only invest in people who are showing up in a real and genuine way. So stop trying to change him. Stop waiting for him to become something he's not, and start focusing on yourself. The right man will step up to meet you where you are without you having to chase or convince him. And trust me, when that happens, you'll realize how much time you wasted on those who aren't and were not worth it. Okay, so we're going to continue to dive into this in future episodes. I really hope this touched one of you guys. If y'all are currently going through a situation where you are finding yourself crazy in love over somebody and you know that it is time to put your foot down, you know it's time to move on and get back to the things that are important, your family, yourself, and you will start aligning and attracting people who are on your same level, people who are wanting to put the work in. It's so important that we understand our worth and we get back to those things that we need to within ourselves in order to attract and align with what we really desire and what we truly deserve. So thank y'all so much for listening and watching. If you're on YouTube, thank you for listening on Spotify, and I will see y'all in the next episode of Trish TV. Love y'all. Bye.